Today let's talk about the Mavic Air 2 and is it right for cycling? What's up everybody? Today I wanted to talk about the DJI Mavic Air 2 and how does it work out for cycle touring or cycling in general. Maybe you've been thinking about getting a drone to capture some footage, and if you've seen some of the footage that's out there from things like the Skydio 2 versus the Mavic Air 2 and the way it tracks and all those things, when it comes to cycling, most of us want to think about that. It's hard enough when you're cycling to capture footage from the seat of the bike and have a place to handle the controller and ride your bicycle and all those things. So how do you go about doing that with something like this? Well, with the Skydio 2, if you're familiar with it, that's a fully autonomous drone for the most part, is sort of its claim to fame. It does have the ability to get a controller and a beacon and all kinds of things and control it from your phone, but the reality is most of the time, we're gonna be using a controller of some kind and or letting it follow us automatically. DJI with the Mavic Air 2 has improved some things over the Mavic Air. I had the old Mavic Air, and it's what I used for footage in the past. If you're familiar with that drone, it did have great video quality in a very compact size, small controller. But its downsides is that the active track, the part that follows you around, was really pretty poor. It used Wi-Fi, so its signal strength was really pretty bad. You could make it work, but it didn't work as well. And other than that, I really loved that drone. In fact, I still have it. It's very small, very lightweight, but those downsides made it difficult when you were biking for it to follow you around and do all those things. So when they came out with the Mavic Air 2, I was instantly interested. I've done a lot of research about the Skydio 2, and I think it's a great product as far as having something to be able to launch and just sort of autonomously follow you. But when it comes to support and long-term use in the market, and plus for the other things that we use drones for, because we do a lot of different videography and cinematography type stuff for individuals, businesses, weddings, all those things, it made sense to have one that was a little more controller based than completely automated. So I bought the Mavic Air 2, and so far I've been pleased. There are several things that make it much better. Number one is OcuSync. This version comes with OcuSync instead of Wi-Fi, and if you're not familiar with that, that's DJI's communication protocol from controller to the drone. So the range and signal quality is just much better. What you get display-wise through your phone device is much better as well. You really get a nice clear view of what's going on. On a sunny day, sure, you need to have a phone with good brightness, but overall, I've been pleased. The second thing is Active Track. The new version of Active Track that's on this works way better than the old versions. The Mavic Air had the first iteration of that, and it just really didn't work very well. Anything that came between you and line of sight of the drone, i.e., let's say just even a tree or something like that, it would totally lose you. It just didn't do a great job of following you. The best cases that we used it for was when it was really just following you from behind a little bit, and even then it had a difficult time keeping up with even someone cycling, much less driving a car. So the tracking just didn't work very well. This new version, the tracking works much better. There are some things you need to think about though with Active Track anytime, is things that are in the area. If you're familiar with these drones, this particular version has sensors in the front, in the rear, and on the bottom, but it doesn't have sensors on the sides or on the top. So if the drone's flying sideways, it can't see what's coming from the side. If it goes and it tries to go up automatically, which it can do now with this version of ActiveSync, or Active Track rather, then there's no sensors above it to see that there's a tree above it or something above it, line of sight wise. So those are things to think about. Just make sure that if you're flying this thing with active track, that you're in an area where those aren't going to be issues. But overall, the active track works much better. If a tree comes between you, it does do a better job of catching you again. But where I find I use this most honestly is out there in those open areas. It's just much easier to not have to worry too much about. The second question that people have is, what's the battery life? I find real life on the bike for me, the battery life is somewhere between 25 and 28 minutes. I know that DJI says 30 something minutes for this, but I found real world use, it's more about 25 to 28 minutes is the average. That's great flight time. If you're familiar with these, they have these pop in, pop out batteries that are about this size. So that's good flight time. The other thing that's changed is this controller has grown in size. It's much bigger, but I will say that I like this controller better than the old one. The method by which they put the device in is in the top. Your phone slides in here. There's an integrated cable that you pop out of here with a plug. And depending on your phone style, there's either a Lightning or USB-C or the popular Android style. This works good. The storage of the cable is perfectly fine. Putting the phone in here even works with a max size phone like an iPhone 11 Max or Pro or whatever. I like it better up here. I find that's where I'm looking anyway, not down here like the old style. So this works well, but it's bigger and it's heavier. You can charge your phone off this while you're using it. I think that was one of the complaints of the old controller, is that your phone would drain down, and so they've put more battery in here, more handhold on here, and it works well. Integrated storage of the joysticks in the bottom, and overall, it's been a great controller. When you talk about weight, well, I brought the scale out here. You gram counters, not going to want to carry a drone anyway, probably, but let's just talk about it. The weight of this is 394 grams. That's 13.9 ounces. And let's fold this guy back up. This is with a battery, with the protective cover, obviously, and the propellers. You're looking at 1 pound, 4.4 ounces, or 578 grams. So by the time you throw in a couple of batteries, if you get the Fly More combo, which is going to come with 2 more batteries, pretty much the case and all the stuff, chargers, all that, the ND filters, which you are going to want, by the way. And if you're not familiar with ND filters, what they are is they're like sunglasses for the front of your gimbal, your camera. It lets you get a better video quality in bright sunlight. So yeah, by the time you throw all that together, you're looking at probably, 3 or 4 pounds worth of extra weight that you're going to be carrying along in your bags somewhere. So you've got to be committed to needing or wanting a drone. Range on this, DJI will tell you 10,000 kilometers, real world, farther than I can see and farther than I need to fly. I've gotten it out to, 1.5 miles where I have line of sight. And past that range, I don't need to be flying it anyway, and neither will the FAA be very happy if you do. So I am a licensed commercial drone operator because we do some commercial work. So I am cognizant of what the rules are. You certainly can fly much farther and use the display that comes with it, but you really need to keep line of sight for safety purposes. So things to think about are you going to take the time to get this out? What are you going to do while you're riding? Where are you going to put the controller? For me, I rest it on the Jones bars, top of the bag, right in front of my feed bags, which I'll show you a clip of that. But you also just have to be willing to take the time. Anytime you're making video or taking video shots while you're biking, touring, or trying to ride, it's a sacrifice. You spend time, you waste time, you're doing things that really don't contribute to the overall possible enjoyment of your ride. But it's the afterglow, I guess, if you want to call it, of watching back that footage, seeing the areas, and really getting perspective that you can only get from a drone that is pretty amazing. So do I like it? Sure. Yeah. You're looking at, $1,000 for the Fly More combo, roughly, in round numbers in the US. But the active track works so much better. You can have it follow you. You can have it parallel to you. You can have it orbit you. The obstacle avoidance works so much better than the old version, so it will kind of try to watch and see things, but it'll get knocked down by a tree limb, or if it's going sideways, since it doesn't have those sensors in the side, it can certainly hit something. So you still have to be aware. The new version of OcuSync is way better, so you get less interference, less problems with signal drop. It's really great range. You can get some amazing perspectives, not have to worry about signal loss, and of course the battery life. The old Mavic Air, which is a little bit smaller than this is a little bit bulkier, but they're all very portable. The old Mavic Air, though, I would get about 16, 17 minutes at the most, and that was with aftermarket propellers for better efficiency. These are factory propellers and still get, a lot better battery life. 25 to 28 minutes is a lot of time for a drone to be following you where you're riding. So, most of us can get 5 or 6 miles in that distance. So that's a lot of drone footage. So overall, do I like it? Yes. Should you buy it? That's up to you. I carry it in my tail rider bag. That's where I put it. I carry usually just one extra battery. I usually don't carry all 3, but it is nice to have that as an option. This goes in there. I throw this in there. I don't usually take the bag. Other than that, just taking the time to get it out, set it up, and take it off. That's really the hassle. So if you've been thinking about a Mavic Air 2, maybe it'd be right for you. Maybe you're more, like something that would be completely a little bit more autonomous and wouldn't have to try to, fiddle with a controller. Then the Skydio 2 might be something that you need to look into. You're looking at similar price after everything's said and done. But the thing about the Skydio 2 that I didn't like was it's just not nearly as portable. It can't fold up or anything, and it's pretty big. And so you got to almost have it in a backpack or something. Just seems like it's pretty bulky. This is pretty portable overall. So if you're thinking about one, I do like DJI products. I like the Mavic series, and I think they're one of the leaders, or if not the leader, in the drone world, and I use it for other things as well. It's been great so far. Video quality, you can take 4K up to 4K 60 if you're into video specs. 1080, you can do some high-speed stuff. I don't really know a lot of people doing that. It's got 40 megapixel camera, so you can take photos if you're into photos and get out there and get those shots, get that perspective. So I hope this has been helpful if you've been thinking about a drone and doing some cycle touring or bike packing or all those things, and take a look at the Mavic Air 2. I think it's probably the hot topic now. There's hundreds of videos, thousands probably now, about this drone. It's been out for a couple months, so get out and pick one up if you think you're interested. If not, just go ride. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'll try to answer anything that I can. I've been using it for a couple months now, so it's been fine. I've got a few answers. I might not have them all, but appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, follow along if you don't mind, and we'll see you again soon.